Okay, well, welcome to our Masterclass series, The Secret to Mastering Your Work-Life Balance as you succeed in your busy career. This is Dr. Shannon Tran, and I'm very excited to welcome our guest today, Rhonda Lebeg. And Rhonda is fiercely committed to really supporting high-achieving, ambitious business owners who are on the verge of feeling drained and just really needing to revitalize their energy and their mindset so they can build that stamina and really create an unstoppable impact in the world. And Rhonda is also the author of 2 books and a best-selling author. One is The Fit Solution, which is a 4-step to staying sexy and successful in being who you are, and also 14 days to really having that flat belly and that vibrant energy that we need to succeed when we are ambitious women. So I love that you've created really a lot of simple ways that women could be busy and still succeed. And I also know you have your own Fresh Inspiration show, and you also host a beautiful retreat. So I'm so excited to have you here as our guest, Rhonda, and really hear about how you're helping women be able to succeed when they're feeling just drained. So welcome.
Thank you for welcoming me in. I am so giddy about being here with you because I love your energy too. And I think along the way of our time spending time together is that we really both understand the effect that it has on us when we are not feeling so good in our body and we feel exhausted, and some of the tools and the key points that we can look at. So I'm really, really excited to be here.
Great. So to kind of kick us off, Rhonda, I really want to hear from you, your perspective on, why you think so many women are just feeling burned out and exhausted. And what do you think, why do you think that's happening? And what do you believe is the solution to that? Because I see women where they're on the verge of quitting, or they say, I can't take it anymore, or, right? And so they kind of maybe give up on their dreams.
Yeah. And when you don't have the energy, it's easy to feel like you want to quit. And so how can that flip so that you get back into your passion is one of my main focuses. And I want to step back and just tell a little bit of story so that I can really share that. Oh, I'm so sorry, there's a little bit of a beeping. But I really want to share something new that I don't usually talk about. So the first thing is, usually I talk about my thyroid journey and just feeling totally flat on the ground, like I can't even get up, losing hair and all that stuff. So I do have a background in not feeling very well and how to get out of it. So I want to make sure that I just say that because where I'm coming from. I was on medicine for 20 years, and I knew it was time to get off. And I was seeing that my body was just having reactions from the medicine. So that maybe we'll touch a little bit on that through our discussion. But what I really want to share with you, Shannon, is I had a really major incident happen in my family. And I want to speak about that today because how we're talking about us showing up and how to reverse that is how we can have these big major incidents happen in our life. They could be that you're feeling so extremely exhausted today, or that you have your ups and downs, or even your weight. We talked about my book, The 14 Days to a Flat Belly. That truly is that you just feel like you are so bloated and that you don't have anywhere to go. So this is where I'm coming from. Last week, it's been 2 weeks now, I had a major incident happen in my family. But I'm here today and I'm showing up. And originally it was very difficult. So I'm going to give you some strategies around when big things happen. 2 weeks ago, my son's 15 years old and just a lovely boy. And he was out with his friend, and his friend and him were skateboarding. So I think some people do have this vision of skateboarders being something, whatever that view is. So my son was doing some tricks in front of this guy's home, and a guy walked out of the house in his underwear, by the way, because I'm gonna keep this, I'm gonna keep some light on this because nothing major happened, but it definitely affected the emotions and how I'm showing up today. And this gentleman, or this man, pulled my son into his house forcefully. He was saying for me to give me your skateboard, or I'm, something. And my son said, no, I'm not going to give you my skateboard. He said, well, if you don't, I'm going to knock you out. And he grabbed my son's skateboard. He got it. And then he literally grabbed my son, pulled him into his house, and his friend really pretty much saved him. He called 911. He caught video. My son was nailed down to the ground, got released at some point, ran to the bathroom, no lock on the bathroom. And for some reason, the guy released him, and it's probably because 911 was called. Mm. So with that being said, you know how that makes us feel. I'm a parent, and I felt so terrible. I didn't know how to handle my day as a business owner. I didn't know how I was going to handle myself as a parent, as a wife, as anything. All of a sudden, everything in my life just felt so scary. My personal being, I started feeling scared because I have had some abuse in my background when I was younger. So there's all these things going on. When I went through this, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have the Fresh Inspiration show to run. I have business to do. And I have this list of things that I need to get done. So this is what I believe, is that what it came down to is the tools that I use to help me get through this. So Shannon, you were asking, what's the issue that I'm seeing with what is happening out there in most struggles? Big issues like this, from my story of what I was talking about, because we do have big incidents sometimes like that. Or it's the fact that we get so overwhelmed because there's such negativity in the world, or our next door neighbor, and we feel like we can't get out of it. Or it's that we have too much work and we don't know exactly how to streamline things. It can be a list of things, as showing up in your business, to showing up and working for somebody. But that's what it comes down to, is us really feeling heavy.
Wow, that's a good point. So, what I kind of heard you say is, you never know what's going to happen in life. It could be your health. It could be a loved one. It could be just you're overloaded with work. And how do you stay grounded, Rhonda, when you do have big dreams for yourself? How do you not let these kinds of things completely derail you? Because sometimes it can be hard to focus when you've got big things going on in your life, right? And when you have more than one big thing going on, it can feel very overwhelming. And that's when burnout can set in. Like, you mentioned your kids. I know you have several. I have 3 kids too. And there's, for women, we often have just so many multiple responsibilities where you could just feel like you're drowning.
Exactly. Drowning. Yeah. And so that feeling is, how can I get out of this and not put it under the carpet? Making sure that you're strategically going through your process, because that's adrenal fatigue. When you put stuff under the carpet, it's exhausting, and you feel like you won it, like I beat it. So let's take a step back and start talking about tools. You know what it is, Shannon? It's like the connection to yourself. And so what I'm finding is how to get the connection to yourself. Like, what excites you? I think that's number one. What excites you? What makes you feel like you are ready to smile and have fun? And you may be far removed from that, but think about the times when it was lighter. See how I'm building this tool? It takes a moment, because the people that are listening to this, we're going to all have our own stories. So the first tool is, what makes me smile, or what did make me smile? Right now for me, it's getting in the pool and doing aqua aerobics. or it's going outside and getting into nature. But it's something like that. It could be sleeping in just a little extra because there's something there where you have not been getting enough sleep. So then you can wake up and you can smile and feel good and not achy in your body. So that's the first tool that I see is number one. There's no way else to do anything else, to do step 2 or 3 until you can connect and start listening to yourself. Start listening. That makes a big difference because then you can go on to other steps.
And I like what you shared, Rhonda, because it makes me realize that sometimes we just need a little pivot, because sometimes if you're feeling overwhelmed, a big solution may feel like, just unsurmountable, but a small pivot where you say to yourself, okay, what could make me smile? And it might be like yesterday, I realized I was feeling a lot of stress at work. There was a lot going on. And normally I would have just powered through it. But instead I went for a 10-minute walk outside. The fresh air, clearing my mind, and reminding myself my intentions. Okay, what is it? Why am I doing this again? And what's important to me? It helped and de-stress me. And it made me actually more effective when I went back into the situation. It didn't solve everything, but it did that pivot, like you said, where that, what makes me happy. What I realized is that in that moment, it made me less reactive. And if I could just be less reactive in moment to moment and be more responsive, there's less cleanup for me to do down the road, right? And so I end up being less overwhelmed and less burned out. So I actually really like that pivot that you described.
And the thing is that, isn't that so basic what I just said? And that's what gets missed. So I like that you said a small pivot. And sometimes, I've been doing this for 20 years. And so at times it can feel like those little things are just not big enough because I didn't fully get the stress out of me. But those little steps, they make massive movement when you do it little by little, and it's all relative. So you're going to see me out there on social media doing crazy awesome things, and because I've been doing it for years. So your crazy awesome thing is going to be this small pivot that makes crazy awesome results for you. So not comparing yourself, not expecting 100% for it to happen right now, but trust. So that's the second tool, and it's a very big one. And the trust word is so big that I might even take a step back from it. But the tool is that I can practice this for at least 5 days. I can practice this. See how I feel relative to when I first started. How do I feel after the first 5 days? And you're starting to talk to yourself in your trust factor. Yeah. You're like, well, I stepped into it, but I don't feel this and that because I expected this big change. But if you can take a step back, your tool is how to see what the changes were so that you don't throw everything away that might make a big change in your whole reality, your whole world may make a massive movement for you. And I find that having trust within any new plan, any new idea, it's like, well, prove it to me. How can I know that's going to work? Because I'm a fast worker, because we're talking about us working very, very fast.
Oops, I lost your volume for a second.
Sorry about that. So sometimes that is something that will totally stop us from making big changes. So don't look over those little things.
That's actually a really good point. And something that really resonates with me, because when you were sharing that, what it made me realize was, because I often look for big progress, like what you're describing, when it's not happening, I perceive it as a failure. And then I get discouraged, and then I start working harder, boom, boom, boom. And that's what leads to burnout, right? Because right. And then it becomes a rat race because I'm not catching those little moments like you said. And I really like that. It was so interesting. Just today I read a quote, and I clearly needed to hear it, and perhaps our audience does, which was, like we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 5 years. And so I love that you're describing the building blocks that maybe that we don't give enough credit to, because we're looking at the big picture and we're looking at like some big change that we want to see happen that hasn't manifested yet.
Well, what I see is when I first started this whole business stuff, I would do these big, massive things. That's for these clients. Like, okay, so we're going to do this, this, and this, and I have this big plan. They're like, perfect. 100%, you're going to do just fine. Just do this. And then it came back to me. I felt like a failure. Like, well, I did some of it, and I did. And I said, well, why didn't you? Because I was in that mindset. Like, 100%. Are you in 100%? And then I realized, here I have a heart. Because I had to sink into my heart. My background is corporate, and I just wore a different hat, and I showed up differently than I would these days in corporate. So I got more my heart, and I said to myself, I'm expecting too much of myself. So how can I expect? So I need to figure out myself so that I can work through things and know how it feels to be my client. Because the person that wants to work with me, how dare I throw all this stuff on them just because I think it's something that they should accomplish, because their health is number one. You know, I'm crazy like a health coach. Like, why can't you do this? So the thing is that those little steps are something we can scrumptiously eat. And it could be mindset stuff. It could be like a basic quote, and it just makes your whole day. That's a really good example. But that's where we find burnout, is that we say, I need to be done now. Well, sometimes in business, that's true. But with our own personal journey, our beings, we think about our whole energy cycle, our endocrine system, our hormone system, our chakras. All three of those really, to me, mean the same. You think about your system and how we have to manage it and have a busy lifestyle and take care of things. And us women, we do tons of multitasking. I say, okay, do multitasking, but hold on to those little things. Those probably are the big things you're trying to accomplish. You're taking too big of steps, and that could be part of your fatigue too. It's a good way of looking to see what that is in your life, and I can maybe back off a little bit.
Yeah, that's a different perspective, and it's good for me to hear. I think that's a good point. Like, how do you know when you're expecting too much of yourself?
I think that you feel exhausted.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. I think you just set me up perfectly there, by the way, Shannon, because it's such the truth. It's like, well, when we expect too much, and too much just means I feel exhausted.
Yeah.
Or it's a big project. We're talking about work too. We're talking about health, that it's all layers. Because I work with business owners. I work on the backbones of people's business too, because I have that background too. But it's if you feel like the leap is too big, then what you do is you go, how can I chunk it down? And you just find those little steps that will bring you there. Because once you get the momentum, the closer you get to your goal. Even though I feel like the goal keeps moving, but the closer you get, though, then you just accelerate. So it could be weight loss, it could be energy, it could be getting stuff done in business. It could be how you show up in the day, that you start off slow, and then by the end of the day, you're just like powerhouse because you managed your energy through the whole day. So it's like a nice cadence. I think everything needs to have a cadence. I love dancing, and I love singing and playing. So it's a cadence.
And I really love this conversation because, like, as we're speaking, I realize that, that this really resonates with me. And even for myself, and I've heard other, ambitious women say this, which is, I never really ask myself the question of, I wonder if I'm expecting too much of myself. Usually my mind goes to, I'm not measuring up, I'm failing, I'm not doing enough job. I need to
not good enough.
Exactly.
Not good enough. I hear it from women all the time, not good enough, or it shows up with not those exact words.
And what I'm realizing is the pivot I could be making in my mindset is when I start to feel that way or overwhelmed, instead of going down that path, what I could say is take a step back. I wonder if I'm expecting too much of myself. I wonder if I need to adjust my expectations. I wonder if I need to expand my time frame. So I really like this conversation because I think what it does is it helps to just expand our thinking around the deadlines that we put on ourselves and the expectations we put on ourselves that lead to overwhelm. So I know we just have a few more minutes, and I want to ask you this question around the difference between, work-life balance versus prioritizing. Because I know some people out there, they now say, hey, I don't believe in work-life balance anymore. And I want to hear your perspective. And, what are your thoughts on, is work-life balance a myth? And if it is, then what's really the solution where someone could take great care of themselves and succeed and kind of really show up in every area of their life where they can feel good about themselves?
I think the big word is rebalance.
Ooh, I
Because
like
you're right. I could go along with work-life balance, but I don't think I'm 100% in on that. The rebalance, finding the tools, we're going back to that tool word, bringing back the tools that work for you, making sure you're eating the right foods to create the energy for yourself. Make sure that you're doing those things that help you daily for mindset, for feeling the freedom in your body, not the pinch, so that you can work massively hard. You can get all these big goals done. I think we are talking to women that are really big go-getters. I know, Shannon, I see you, so I know that you're attracting those people that work very hard. I work massively hard. I have a CPA background. I think hard is great. So it's the rebalance, and the rebalance is, okay, so I don't want to wear myself out today. I have a lot to do, or I've been doing a lot. So what am I going to do? And the tools are going to land for you of how are you going to wake up, and what are the first steps you're going to do. For me, I think maybe stretch to the toes, open up your kidney meridian. Yes, I'm talking holistic, but open up your kidneys so the water flow goes in your body and you don't get monkey mind. Because if your flow isn't going nice and smooth in your body, then your brain chemically will start getting more anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a person that gets angered easily, wake up in the morning and do like a windmill. If everybody does yoga, windmill is just bringing your arms up and twisting and opening up the sides. And those are the two meridian points I like to work with. So stretch to your toes and then do that flare, reaching up to the sky. What that does is if you run more on anger, it helps balance things for yourself. Helps balance your liver and your gallbladder. And just bring that up just so you know, technically there's a lot of technical stuff of what I'm saying, but let's keep it basic. But that bile that your body builds and builds up from the gallbladder, it'll start balancing it and the anger won't come out so crazy. So there's logic and there's science about this, but it's also so holistic, which I love. I mean, I love on this, coming from CPA, being so exterior and all that. This really is deep about listening to your body. So using those tools, really knowing that you got this, and then you just start building. So you see how I'm creating that, so it can be whatever works for you. Mm-hmm. That is how you're going to get your rebalance. And you can do it 1, 3 times, 5 times a day. Do that.
Yeah, it's interesting because, several reasons. One is I know that Brendan Burchard talks a lot about every morning, with part of his morning routine is he does stretching. Just, I don't know if it's exactly the one that like you're doing, but it's the same concept. And it was interesting. I was at a women's event last night, and one of the women leaders was sharing how basically consistent with what you're saying, where she says, I work daily. And that one statement she made was pretty profound. She said, I work daily to keep myself free and whole. And so I love that you're sharing that because, sometimes we think, oh, once I've done it, I'm done. And then we can get into busyness and stop doing the very things that help get us grounded. Yeah. And so I like that you had shared, like, maybe for that person, it's going to be some kind of stretch or something that gets them grounded in their body. Because I think, and it sounds like that's the case for you, where I was so into it, especially if you're coming from a corporate background, you're very left brain. And so our right creative brain can be very atrophied, where we're disconnected from our feelings, disconnected from our body, right? Disconnected from our needs. And so like doing the holistic approach is what keeps you whole and grounded and centered. So I love that. So, I'm loving our conversation, Rhonda. I literally could just listen to you all day long. So how can people get to know you better, connect with you, reach out to you, so that they can learn more about the work that you do and how you help women?
Wonderful. So I did send you a link, so maybe that will be available for them. So you want to go to that link, which is rhondaliebig.com, which is the L-I-E, which is my last name, L-I-E, B as in boy, IG.com, and /, I believe it was energy quiz.
Okay.
So you want to go there. Yeah, you want to go there. It is really a scrumptious free gift. It's going to allow you to know right now, instantly, what kind of foods you can have so you can really get yourself going. So I talk holistically about your kidneys and your liver, but it's a quick quiz, like 14 questions that I put together. And then you'll get into a master grocery list. So you know the foods that you have to eat.
I love that.
And then from there, it'll give you the ideas of the workouts you need. There's certain reasons why you want to do cardiovascular, hit it hard, or you'll want to go for walks, or you'll want to do yoga, and it'll guide you. And that just comes from the years. I started at 19 doing all this stuff. And then I had 10 years in doing corporate CPA stuff, and I went back into the health industry. Somebody really inspired me. So what you're seeing here is like a lifetime of fun stuff. I'm around 50. Why I'm 50, by the way. I just turned 50.
Oh.
But you're seeing a lifetime of stuff, and that's what gets infused in this free gift is let's play hard and let's rebalance. And that's the free tool I'm giving today.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you. Because like health is wealth, and sometimes we can just get focused on material wealth at the expense of the wealth that is from having excellent health. So I love that you have that as a gift. I'm actually really excited about that, because I'm too wanting to do some other things to help my body be more flexible and just take better care of my health, especially as we, if you are someone who likes to work hard, you have to take care of yourself. So thank you so much for that gift, and really for this conversation. I loved your approach and your different perspective, and just being vulnerable and sharing how life can show up, and how we have to just pivot and work around it and know what our priorities are. And so I'm so happy that you were able to join us today. So thank you.
Thank you for the invite. This was fun, Shannon, hanging out with you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.